All right, guys, we've got our NFL Wildcard weekend recap. I wanted to get this video out sooner, but I've been ill all week and talking has been a little bit more difficult than I would have liked, and I'm still kind of dealing with it, but enough so that we could speak through some of the things here this weekend and maybe talk a little bit about next weekend's games as well. Won't be anything super crazy. But yeah, why don't we go ahead and go through it? We'll jump right through the games. This is probably the most entertaining wild card weekend in a pretty long time. All of these games were good and tight, at least. I mean, like the Texans game didn't end tight, but that was, a 1-point game in the fourth. The Patriots won by 13. That was a 6-point game, right, 9-3 going into the fourth. So they were all tight, and the first four were really, really up and down fun. So a lot of really good games. And so why don't we go through them? We'll start with the Rams and the Panthers. Second Super Bowl favorite, probably most places #1 power rated team in terms of just numerically, the Rams, and they escape the Carolina Panthers, who just love to give the Rams a go. It doesn't matter what's going on. And the first game, they win at 31-28. Needed a lot of things to kind of go their way there. 3 turnovers, a variety of different things. Really, really good on third down. A lot of that came back here. Really, really good on third down again. I mean, if we can go look at it, third down efficiency, 5 of 12. A lot of long ones in there. Turnovers, did not win the turnover battle here, but a lot tighter. And again, they played better this time around, just didn't have the extra stuff that they got last time to kind of get over the line. And, that's how it goes. They were a lot more competitive, and I think a lot of people would have thought. 10.5-point spread and everything like that. And again, they needed a lot to go right the first time, but they were genuinely better on the field this time around. They're probably still not on the Rams level, just in terms of down-to-down stuff for the most part. Outgained by 80 yards here, half a yard per play, which you expect from this Rams side. But a really good effort from a Carolina team who wins their division in a funky way, and it's a team that's up and down, has a lot of questions about them and stuff like that, and they'll feel good coming in here and putting in a good effort. And again, they had a chance to win that game. Rams go down the field and win it over the last drive there, where they score with 38 seconds left to win it. So after a blocked punt, get that in there as well. Another fun thing that the Rams have to deal with on special teams. But again, a really fun game, up and down, fun. I thought the Rams would run away with this one in the middle a little bit there. It looked like there was a point where it's 17-7 and the Rams get the ball here, and then they turn it over on downs on the Carolina 19 is where it was. But it was 17-7, and that felt like if they get that first down, that you go into halftime 24-7 up, and then they come out of half with the ball. Like, that was obviously the turning point. It went from 17-7 with the possibility of 31-7, like 8 minutes into the third, to a 17-14 game. And now we're in a game, and it's a half hour, and that's not a ton of time, and you just need a couple things to go right. And unfortunately, they didn't for Carolina, and unfortunately, they did for the Rams, who, again, survive here. They won't be happy with the way the defense is playing. It is trending downwards, their defense, which is not good at this time of year. You kind of want things peaking at this time of year. The offense is still very, very good. It went through that sputter in the middle right after Stafford hurt his finger, and then they didn't complete like the next 10 passes, and that may be from the finger. It may not have been. There was like that interception wasn't a finger thing. Like, that was just a bad decision from Stafford, who's gotten a little bit lucky as the all year in terms of interceptions and things like that. But again, that finger looked like it was an issue. He was holding it, dealing with it, and they kind of figured it out later on in the game, and got a couple drives over the end here. Was it the last 2 drives? 2 of the last 3 drives were TDs, so they were moving it in the end. Just an unfortunate middle. And again, if you win that middle portion, you're in the game no matter what, like pretty much. Very rarely do you, if you're the Rams or if you're the Panthers here, where you win the middle. Like Rams punt, first drive out of halftime, you get the touchdown before halftime, you get the field goal right out after that, and it's a tie game. So if you win the middle, it's tough to be getting blown away that badly by winning the middle, and they won the middle and did it there, and that's where all the bad things were happening for the Rams, his finger, just the offense in general, kind of dealing with it. I would say, again, we talked about the defense. It is trending down. The secondary is not playing particularly well. The pass rush needs to be better, but they're letting up a lot of long third downs as well, which is something that needs to change. They're going to be playing a Bears team that kind of fits offensively into this Rams defense. Like, they can run the ball well. They can throw deep pretty well. Caleb has the talent to do that stuff, so it's going to be funky to see that. Offensively, I don't know how you stop them. They're moving fine. The only thing that stopped them in this game was Stafford's finger getting bent on that dude's arm. Other than that, they move the ball pretty much at will, and they can do it in a variety of ways. They can run the ball, they can do it short, they can do it medium, they can do it deep. I will say Devontae Adams doesn't look particularly healthy, but Puka Nacua is like the greatest thing ever, so it doesn't really matter in that stage, in that sense. So we'll see going into the next one, but a really great game where the Rams sneak out of there with a win. We'll jump to the next one here, Bears-Packers, and their opponent for next week, the Chicago Bears, who come from, I don't know exactly how much it was down. They were 21-6 down going into the fourth, and then came all the way back. Like it looked like the Packers may have done it, that golden pass from Love, but just chunk plays later on from there. And this one is all down to LaFleur. And this is a LaFleur thing. And this is LaFleur's biggest problem. And unfortunately for him and the Packers, it just never gets fixed for some reason. This might just be it's just a personality thing, just an ultra-conservative. But when they go ahead in games, there is no killer instinct there. It's just sit on it. They were moving the ball. I mean, they go into halftime up 21-3. They're killing it. They're moving the ball through the air comfy. And then they come out, and we can go through it. But the play-by-plays is just dead. They missed the field goal at the end of the half. Next drive, they get the ball first. They're up 21-3, missed the field goal that could have made it 24-3. Then they get ball first out of half. Incomplete short left, negative 2-yard run, incompletion, punt. Next possession, 1-yard run, short pass, done, incomplete. Next possession. Next possession we had here we go. This one's all messed up because of the fumble. Short pass, run, incompletion, all deep. And then 3 plays again, -10. Run on first down, incomplete short. Like that can't happen. It just cannot happen this way, particularly when you're dominant first half, when you're moving the ball at will here. They had 4 drives in the first half. 3 of them went for touchdowns, and then the missed field goal at the end of half. They stopped throwing it deeper. Again, he tends to lean into the run a little bit much. They stopped throwing it medium deep, as we said. It's very much a conservative play style. They didn't run it as much here, which is at least good. But a lot of the passes, as you saw, there was no no dealing with the blitzes that the Packers were bringing, and that's a nice defensive change. But for a team that moves it however they want in the first half, to come out in the second half and completely have no idea what to do and be safe and do all that stuff, kills you. I mean, if like all these early drives, there's some explosives here, like just a little bit, like Jaden Reed, 14-yard rush. 33-yard deep pass to Romeo Doubs. That was the first touchdown drive. Second touchdown drive. 36-yard pass from Golden. Even an 18-yard pass for the touchdown. This was the short drive that only had to go 32 yards. But even like the incompletions here, you'll see them. Obviously, I'm reading them off, but you can watch the game. Incomplete, short, incomplete, negative 2-yard run, incomplete, short, punt. Jacobs 1-yard run. Jordan Love pass short, incomplete, short. This one, pass short, run, incomplete, short, pass short, middle, punt. Like this one had short run, short pass, incomplete, short pass, incomplete. There's an actual deep one here. And then the touchdown they scored. 2-yard run, 9-yard pass, 22-yard pass again. That was just a good called play, to be fair. The Golden one went for 23, though that was a shorter one. So they didn't even even the missed field goal again. I mean, obviously they leave 7 on the field here. Jordan Love, deep. Romeo Doubs, 34 yards. Like, you think you win the game after something like that. That felt a lot like the Matthew Ryan pass to Julio Jones, where they complete that really long pass, and you're like, that's it, man. That's the game right there. And you just don't do it. It just doesn't come forward, and that's all on LaFleur. And you can't do that, again, against this Bears team. This Bears team's very well coached offensively, and despite the fact that Caleb Williams does have his flaws, he does have the talent to go ahead and kill you in these situations. You keep giving him chance after chance after chance, and it wasn't even like the Packers were coming out here and doing anything with the drives they had. Not only were they not doing anything, they weren't killing any clock whatsoever. The drive, like if we just went back through the drives, I know we keep doing it. A minute 07, punt. A minute 39, punt. 2 minutes, punt. 51 seconds, punt. There was just nothing going on just in terms of killing the game, in terms of scoring points, in terms of killing clock. Nothing was going their way, and they were just very, very poor with the way they were doing it. I hate the way it happened. As for the Bears, took advantage of those situations. I will say this feels like a Bears team that's kind of got, the horseshoe a little bit lucky. They do have a lot of comebacks here, and if you have to come back from 21 down against the Rams, it's probably not going to work out that same way. I will say of the Bears, I think they have some offensive matchup stuff. I think they can score points on the Rams. I don't think they can stop the Rams necessarily, but I do think they can score points, which should keep them in the game. But there are defensive problems here with the Bears, as you can see. Again, when they felt like moving it, when they needed to move it, they moved it, right? Again, all the drives in the first half, scoring drives, and then the missed field goal at the end. Second half, when they needed to move it, when the Bears got within 5, touchdown drive. When the Bears scored again and they needed more points, field goal drive. He missed, but, 8 plays, 43 yards. They moved it. When you need to move it on the Bears, you can move it on the Bears, and that is my biggest worry about them. Loveland obviously was humongous here. Burden, I really like. Odunze is not, he was semi-involved, but not super healthy. He should play this week again, but, I think they're going to run the ball fine this week as well. They're well coached. Caleb is such an interesting player because the talent is undeniable, and some of those throws are really genuinely unbelievable. That 4th down throw he fit in there, that he kind of floated up and fit just right in that pocket, was so good. But he also he has a lot of bad throws in there, a lot of misses, and it could be an issue when you go against a team like the Rams, who are going to score pretty comfortably, you would think. If you have 2 or 3 drives where, 3rd and 5 and you miss, you can't have those against the Rams next week. So it should be interesting. And again, I'm not downplaying Caleb in general, but Caleb's whole career is very, very similar, that he has that crazy throw in his locker. He's genuinely, he's good out of structure. He's genuinely got some great arm talent. But again, I know if you watch him every day, you see it every day. You see those misses. You see, it's just 2 or 3 feet off a receiver that kills drive, and like those exist, and they just can't exist next week. If you're going to keep up with the Rams. So really interested in what happens next week. A really nice win for the Bears. That's one of those, people talk about it all the time, the culture setting wins and stuff like that. I know we're in the second year and stuff, but this is a new coach and a team whose aspirations are Super Bowl in the next couple of years. So to come in here, you get a nice, great comeback win over a rival in a playoff game at home. That carries weight. So a really nice win there for Chicago, who should be in a fun game next week. All Bears games are fun because the defense is not good and the offense is so well coached. Bills, Jags. I thought this was the best game of the weekend in terms of just play, talent, just good on good. 2 really good teams. I wish this was a game like later on, like a second or third round game. This is what it felt like and it played like. But the Bills do move on here. And this was a game that came down to super slim margins. Like Trevor Lawrence, his knee goes down on that 4th down instead of getting the first there. That's what it felt like. I thought the offense on both sides played well. I thought the defense on both sides played pretty well. Like this was a game of just everybody played well, and we got a good football game with good players in it. In the end, the Bills go ahead and get over the line. Josh played really well here, and Josh kept getting his ass kicked all game long. Getting hit a ton, hits his hand on a helmet, similar to Stafford. He gets crunched as he's going into the end zone on one of his touchdown carries, one of the short ones. And I thought he was done for the game. He's carrying that foot injury. He continues to just play hurt and just continue to produce. He's an excellent, excellent quarterback, obviously. And again, I thought the Jaguars played well. I thought this is a good football team, another one that's really well coached. I think the only issue is that the Jaguars had is that they got in the middle of the game here, they got away from the run a little bit. They had some short fields. You get that Trevor Lawrence one that didn't quite get there. Some shorter ones where they just kind of did not run the ball a little bit. You get the missed field goal, unfortunately, before halftime. But again, I thought they played well down the stretch. It's harsh to kind of just look at Trevor. I keep seeing this with Trevor where it's like, hey, Trevor had a chance for a legacy drive and blew it, shock. But how many quarterbacks go for 2 touchdowns in the 4th to bring your team ahead and then come out and people think you've played bad? I thought Trevor was fine. He had that one really bad pick. I didn't think the second one was a bad pick. He had that one bad pick over the middle, but the rest of the game I thought he played really well again. And I thought the Jaguars played well offensively. I thought the Bills played well as well. Jaguars were a little bit more efficient down to down, just couldn't quite get it over when it needed to be. Again, that Trevor one on 4th down we talk about. He had the interception there. That wasn't very good. So, little things like that cost you a game against a really good football team in the Buffalo Bills. And that's just kind of how it goes. Again, all the numbers are really tight here for the most part. Again, I thought the Jags were better down to down, and I thought the Bills were a little bit more efficient in terms of turning their good drives into points. Jags go at 6.6 yards per clip. Bills at 5.5. They ran the ball 6.7 yards a clip. And again, only 23 rushes when you're rushing at 6.7 yards a clip is probably the issue I have. And again, they weren't there are no 80-yard runs in there, man. The longest run's 26. They were gashing and they were moving the ball on the ground. In the second half particular, I was like, man, how are the Bills going to stop this? And they didn't really stop it. The Jags just stopped doing it in bunches. But, you know, it was a really good game, really tight game. Jaguars defensively bottled up Cook and made Josh Allen do a lot. Shakir, 12 was just the ultimate outlet. 12 catches, 12 targets for 82 yards. A lot of short stuff in there. To get that big catch from Cooks in there. Nice big catch from Coleman in there. The weapons next week are going to be interesting because the Bills now lose Shavers, who's gone for the year. Played the second half of this game on a torn ACL, by the way, which is nuts. He played like 22 snaps on a torn ACL, which is crazy. I think they'll be able to run it a little bit better next week, the Bills, than they were today. If they don't, it'll be tough for them, obviously. But the Bills won this football game and the Jags lost this football game. These are two very, very even teams and two very good football teams. I will say if the Bills next week, they have a really tough assignment. They go into Denver, in altitude, cold. Everybody's hurt. They're just getting their ass beat. You know, Broncos are fresh. That should be a really interesting one. But again, a really nice, really good football game. Good performances from pretty much everybody, barring a moment or two. And it's just high-level stuff. Really good high level. Sometimes you watch games where maybe you're watching like, you know, OKC and Houston game 1 of this year that went to like double overtime, or like, you know, you're watching a soccer game, you're watching a really good, like, you know, any two good teams. You watch, you know, PSG and Arsenal last year. Just sometimes somebody has to win those things, but it's just good high-level football, and that's what we got here. I thought it was the best game of the weekend in terms of quality and stakes as well. And, you know, it came down to the wire just like everything else. So I thought that was quite good. Niners-Eagles. Niners win this one 23-19. This is a bad loss for the Eagles for a variety of reasons, but in the end, I thought what has happened after it is probably what needed to happen. Like, if the Eagles were going to save their season this year, the offense needed to be different after like week 6. Like, no offense to, I don't advocate for people. I understand what happens when somebody loses their job. I get it. But Patullo coaching this team all year long, and there are no changes, and nobody took over, and nobody stepped in, and nobody did anything. The fact that this went on all year long is just crazy, and it bit them immediately in the playoffs here. They put up 19 on a Niners defense that is like dead. There is like nobody on it. They have nothing in the secondary. Linebackers are all gone. They're on linebacker like 6. It feels like the defensive line's best 2 rushers have been hurt since the back end of the year. Like, there is so little on this Niners defense, and for you to come in at home and put up 19, that's crazy bad. Eagles went for 4.3 yards a play. Like, if we just went back and looked at the Niners just defensively, 4.3 yards per play is not very good. Like, in an average back and forth game, you're looking at 5.5. Like, 4.3 is not good. But they played a 13-point game last week that wasn't really 13 points. Or like, Seattle scored 13, but it felt like more. Seattle went for 5.4 a play. They played Chicago. Chicago went for 6.9 yards per play. Indianapolis with Phillip Rivers went for 5.4 yards a play. It's genuinely unacceptable at home in this circumstance to be as bad as it was. Like, this offense to be as bad as it was. And the defense just couldn't do enough. And Shanahan, credit to Shanahan, because he is an unbelievable play caller, and they're doing it offensively without guys. Kittle went down in this one. Looks like it was a torn Achilles, which means he'll miss next year too, which really, really sucks. He lost him kind of early. The run game wasn't even really there. McCaffrey went for 48 on 15 carries. That's not a ton. Purdy is an okay quarterback, but Purdy has his drawbacks and tends to turn the ball over a little bit, through 2 interceptions here, and they still won the football game. So credit to the San Francisco 49ers, who have a really tough matchup next week. But this, to me, is all about the Eagles being just unacceptable, like, just as a whole, like, genuinely unacceptable. The coaching down, the drama, the quarterback stuff. Like, you can say what you want about Hurts at this point. You can say what you want. I'm not going to argue with you. I tend to excuse Hurts a little bit, because I think the coordinator is that bad, and the coordinator is doing his best to make sure Hurts, who is a flawed quarterback, is in the worst possible position he could be in, like, every freaking drive. So I've been cutting Hurts a little bit of slack this year. And again, it doesn't excuse him missing throws, and it doesn't excuse that stuff. And it's not good, because you do pick up bad habits. Stroud's like a really similar to this. Like, Stroud's first year, he was amazing. Wow, Stroud's amazing. Wow. A lot of what made Stroud amazing year one is that he was just connecting on 3rd and 8, because every freaking drive came with a 3rd and 8. And it was 2 runs up the middle with a bad offensive line and a bad running back. And Stroud saved us on 3rd and 8. In year one, he was. In year two, regression came back a little bit. All of a sudden, it was, what's wrong with Stroud? And the reality was, nothing was really wrong with Stroud. He was just caught in a little bit of regression here. Save us on 3rd and 8. But I will say of Stroud picked up some bad habits, which we'll talk about in a minute. Stroud did pick up some bad habits, and now he's a quarterback who is a little bit, flawed, and he has to revert to those things. And again, Hurts doesn't get, like, I can't, like, back on Hurts, because he does miss throws. Hurts is not a 3rd and 8 quarterback. Hurts is a 3rd and 4 quarterback with legs. But for you to come in as an offensive coordinator and watch what Hurts has done for the last 3 years and say, we're not going to use your legs, and we're just going to make sure that a lot of your 3rd downs are deep, and we're going to make Hurts a deep throwing quarterback all the time. I just think he's been properly screwed over by what's happened to him. But it's very obvious that he's not he didn't play well today. He hasn't played well a lot of the year. I contribute that, again, not just to him, but to the offensive coordinator as well. I thought Barkley ran well here, and I thought they kind of got off it a little bit, but I mean, he'd had 26 carries. I didn't think they got off it a little bit, but like, a lot of their drives felt like there were some passes in situations there didn't need to be, and you can bring Tank in, I guess, and do some stuff, but just not enough there. Again, not enough offensively. And defensively, like, if you score 19 against the Shanahan team, most of the time you're not going to get there. Particularly if you're not, like, elite defensively. And this Eagles defense is good. It's not Seattle. It's not Houston. It's just not on that level. And San Francisco made them pay. San Francisco, again, has a funky game next week against a division opponent that it struggles with. Only put up 3 points last time. No Kittle. Looks like no Winters. Like, they're dropping like flies. It's been genuinely unbelievable that this team is where it is now with 12 wins and a playoff win, considering all of the other stuff that's happened to them. But genuinely, they've done an incredible job to get to where they are, and they should be pretty proud. Eagles, we'll discuss. We're gonna have a thing over once the Super Bowl ends, where we talk through and grade every team's season and what their off season and stuff will look like. Philadelphia should be a really interesting one. Probably to the most boring game of the weekend, I guess. This one and the last two were really similar, except I guess the Texans made it funny at the end of theirs. But Patriots-Chargers. Patriots win this one 16-3. A nice home playoff win. Again, this was kind of tight. This was again, 9-3 going into the fourth. And I thought a lot of things here. I don't think Drake May played particularly well. And again, this is his first playoff game. A little bit better second half, but I thought even then, nothing crazy. They scored 10 points second half. There was one touchdown in this one here, and it came late. Really good throw to Henry. But again, it took 5 sacks, interception in there, the fumble in there. Fumbled it twice, only got one of them back. But I didn't think the offense played particularly well just as a whole. And it's a decent Chargers defense, but you're also going to be playing a pretty good Texans defense next week. So can't play like this next week offensively. Defensively, I thought they played well here. And there were missed opportunities in this game. I don't particularly think the Chargers... I think what lost the Chargers the game came when they kicked that field goal in the second quarter. This particular thing really messed me up. Herbert had they had the 4th and 2 on the goal, didn't get there. And then next drive, they go all the way down the field. And this particular series right here is 3rd and 2. You have nothing on the interior offensive line, and you run it right up the middle, gain nothing, as to be expected, because the Patriots' rush defense up the middle is really good. You get nothing. You take your biggest weakness and run it right into the Patriots' biggest strength, right in one go, and then kick the field goal on the 3-yard line on a 4th and 2. I thought the game ended there in my head. It ended there. You can't, when you're struggling to move the ball and Herbert's not playing well, Herbert we'll talk about in a minute, but when Herbert's not playing well, you're struggling to move the football. They're not scoring a ton. Those are things you can't leave on the table. I get it if you don't get it, which they didn't the first time. They didn't get it. But I thought Harbaugh's conservativeness came into it a little bit there, and he didn't want to leave with nothing again. But you just can't do those things, and the game was lost pretty much right there. Because again, the Patriots, this Chargers team we talked about coming into this, this offensive, you can throw away Chargers winning games in the playoffs. They could win a game, maybe 2, if everything went right. But this offensive line was that bad. You cannot score with teams that can stop the run. Patriots can stop the run, especially with what's his name back? Tongo's back, Milton's back. You can't run on this team, particularly with your team. So it had to come other ways. The drives weren't going to be there. You weren't going to drive constantly. You just can't leave points like that. You can't just accept 3 points. And I understand what the score was. I understand what was happening. You just can't do it. And it felt like they lost it there. The Patriots defensively never let up. You can't run on this team. This matchup in general. Vidal went 11 for 31. Hampton wasn't really fit. He went 1 for -1. Herbert had his rushing yards. Getting a little dry here, but Herbert had his rushing yards, but a lot of that was Herbert. It should be noted that the Patriots pass rush wasn't ultra fantastic. After the first 5 games, Herbert had the highest time to throw of any quarterback. Sorry guys, needed a little bit of water, choking away there, but Herbert had the longest time to throw of any quarterback before the final game. I didn't check what that was for Rodgers or Stroud, but before the final game. And a lot of it was him rushing, but a lot of it was clean pockets. And Herbert was genuinely horrible in this game. Missing throws. There were wide open guys running deep that he was missing. It may just be a playoff mental block with him at this point, because he was genuinely really bad in this football game. Patriots had 1 or 2 sacks in there that were all Patriots, where you kind of like that one that gets thrown around a lot, where it's like he just had that guy rushed into his lap on like an 8-step drop. But everything else was genuinely Herbert being genuinely horrible. So you can only do so much on a lot of different things. Everybody pretty much outside the defense, everybody on offense played pretty bad. Keenan Allen had that weird thing where I think he thought it was for the receiver behind him on the 4th down in the end zone, and he just didn't put his hands up. That went right over his head, like here, like over his head here. Like if he stuck his hands up and like saw it, that felt like a touchdown. But again, nobody played well on the offense whatsoever. I thought the coaching in terms of situational stuff was not good. And the Patriots didn't have to do much to they didn't have to do much of anything. Again, Chargers scored 3. They weren't moving the ball. Patriots moved the ball a little bit. And again, they have their issues. And, you turn the ball over twice offensively and stuff. But when your opponent's not doing anything, you can afford those mistakes and not have it come back to bite you. And it did in this situation here. I thought the Chargers were the worst team of the weekend, even though the Steelers' final score was funky. But that's another one very similar to this game that was like 5 minutes into the 4th quarter. This is still very much a football game. Very similar here. But the Chargers just no life anywhere offensively. And some of that's down to the Patriots and some of that's down to the Chargers being Chargers. So we'll see. Patriots next week. Again, I didn't think offensively they were very good here. They ran the ball sort of okay. Drake May scampered off and got that really big long run that put him in field goal range late to get him a lead before halftime. May have to use his legs next time. But their offense didn't play particularly well here either. But they're going up against the Texans team. The Texans game theoretically could be very, very similar to this one. It's not like the Texans are going to run the ball a ton. It's not like May is not going to be pressured. So the Patriots may be in a very, very similar game next week when they go to Houston. And we can talk about Houston now as they beat the Steelers 30-6. The scorecast there is a little bit funky because this game was 10-6 with 11 minutes to go in the 4th. Before that fumble return, and then it just became a bunch of funky things. You get the fumble return, the long touchdown drive, and then the pick 6 to kind of end it. All of it kind of just, falling apart and rolling over on the Steelers at the end there. This was a really strange game, just in general. This Houston defense was playing like one of those all-world games where nothing was going to happen. Like, there's no chance the Steelers are scoring like double digits here is what it felt like from the opener. Steelers go for 175 total yards, 3.1 yards per play, 2.9 yards per pass. They ran it okay a little bit early, but after that, a whole lot of nothing. DK Metcalf got the ball a little bit early. After that, very much nothing. I think he had 2 catches, for 42 for 42 on 5 targets. I'm pretty confident that those came in the first quarter. Let's see. Yeah, DK went for 17 on the first drive. And then he had that drop that was bad. And then the second drive. Did he have it on the second drive? No, I guess not. Maybe. Not sure when the second pass came, but it's just, you're never going to get over the line when you can't get the ball to your best players at any stage. And look at some of these 3 plays, 5 yards punt, 3 plays, 0 yards punt, 8 plays, 4 yards field goal after the fumble. That's one of their 2 scoring drives of the day. 8 plays, 23 yards punt, 4 plays, 6 yards punt, 4 plays, 2 yards fumble, 6 plays, 19 yards punt, 4 plays, 5 yards, pick 6. They had one drive that eclipsed 30 yards, and it was that second drive that went for 58 and a field goal. Just not good enough. And we spoke about the Steelers team. This is the most Steelers thing to ever happen. They sneak their way through a regular season where they don't look good. They don't play particularly good. They aren't very good. They get into the playoffs and get blown away by a team who is good. And this is a good Texans team for the most part. I thought the offense here was not good. I thought Stroud in particular looked really, really, I don't want to say like seeing ghosts, but he was like very jumpy, like very nervy. He felt like a lot of like double clutching, clutter in the pocket, like freaking out stuff. He fumbled the ball, like it felt like 4 times. 5 fumbles. He lost 2 of them. 5 fumbles, lost 2 of them. Like he threw a pick as well. Like he was all over the place, horrible in this game. And the defense just kind of kept giving him chances, which is fine. But he definitely can't play this way next week. But the Houston defense, if it is going to play this week, they're going to be in every game until they get dropped, or until they win the Super Bowl. Whatever happens, the defense looks like it's going to keep them in pretty much every game. They are uber talented, and they don't even have to scheme defensively. Like they can run man, and what is the joke that goes on Twitter? It's just like cover 2 man, and you can run that all you want. You rush your 4 who get pressure like every single snap, get to the quarterback every single snap, it feels like. Did they have any? Well, they had 2 defensive TDs today, obviously. But in terms of just like 4 sacks on a team that throws the ball quick, for what it's worth, is pretty good. Again, they get pressure every snap. They have corners who can cover pretty much anybody, and they only had to cover DK today, and DK is the best receiver they'll see over this week or next week. DK is probably DK might be the best wide receiver they see in the AFC on their possible path. Like, you're not going to get that at Buffalo. You're not going to get a DK over in New England. Diggs is good, but I think DK can offer more when he's not dropping the football, I guess. And Denver don't have any of that, so DK may be the best wide receiver they see the entire time. And they're filled to the brim with elite players in that secondary. Lassiter's good. Stingley's a top 2 corner. The secondary's good. The safety group's good. The pass rush is unbelievable. Like, it's just a truly, truly elite defense, and it's going to be tough next week. But Stroud can't turn the ball over a ton next week. If Stroud's like good next week and fine, like jitters are gone, and he's seeing his guys, then the defense may not have to be in a position where they have to hold the Patriots to 6 points to win the football game. No Nico Collins next week, which is a blow. I will say these young receivers are pretty decent. The Hutchinson, Higgins is pretty all right. Christian Kirk went 8 for 144 and a TD, and he had a 46 long. Even if you took that out, 7 for 98. Like, he's still a vet, solid. So some interesting stuff there, and we'll have to see. As for the Steelers, this ended very Steeler-esque. Couldn't run the football. Older quarterback. Offensive line couldn't hang. Defense could only hang for so long. It's just what this has been a very Steeler thing for the next 6 years. And their end of season grading will be super interesting as well when we get to it, guys. But that'll be it for us. Just wanted to get that out. Sorry, I was losing my voice and stuff like that. So hopefully we can go ahead and have another good weekend, and looking forward to it.